Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Ang gagawin lang po natin ngayon ay hihintay lang po natin na umabot po tayo at least 40 para sa ating mga participants. And then mag-start na po tayo. For the meantime, ayan po, nice po namin i-welcome lahat ng mga participants from all the councils and also from Scouts and Guides of Baharat. Okay. So seems nasa 37 na po tayo and ayun nga po medyo 8:05 na po. So mag-start na po tayo. So from Aguila Pilipinas, we welcome our fellow Eagle Scouts, Rover Scouts, and Scouters, including our senior Scout leaders who are with us today. So the following councils from Angeles City down to Zindidap Council, we welcome you here. Good morning, sir, from India. Welcome to our webinar. We would like to send our gratitude to our anonymous sponsors and contributors of Aguila Pilipinas since 2009. Thank you for believing in the advocacy of Aguila Pilipinas. We would like also to send our gratitude to the following Eagle Scout groups: Aguilang Iliganon, our Eagle Scouts Association of Angeles City or SAAC, the Association of Cebuano Eagle Scouts, Lapu-Lapu City, ACES LLC, BSP Quezon City Council, Eagle Scouts Association or QCC ESA, and also the chapters from the national organizations of the of the Eagle Scouts, the Eagle Scouts Organization of the Philippines, ESOP, and chapters from the National Eagle Scouts Association of the Philippines, NESAP. So a short background of Aguila Pilipinas. It started in 2009 but went online by March 2012. The Aguila Pilipinas is an online journal for Eagle Scouts where Eagle Scouts can share their ideas, activities, and advocacies to help inspire young Scouts and remind fellow Eagle Scouts of living by the Scout Oath and Law. Aguila Pilipinas promotes the honor and legacy of Eagle Scouts of the Boy Scouts of the Philippines. Kindly follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. So for today or for tonight, our topic or our fifth webinar, it's all about keeping ourselves mentally awake. And this will be tips from positive psychology for us Eagle Scouts, Rover Scouts, and adult leaders. So to formally welcome our speaker is Eagle Scout Jack Salunga. He is the head for human resources of Asia Ceramics Corporation. He is currently pursuing PhD in counseling psychology. He is a graduate of Master of Arts in Psychology, major in Industrial and Organizational Psychology. He is also a chartered professional in human resource or CPHR, an advocate and learner of positive psychology. He is Eagle Scout Batch 4 or 2004 from BSP Angeles City Council, and he is one of our mentors, founding member of the Eagle Scouts Association of Angeles City, and also member of Association of Top Achiever Scouts or ATAS and Eagle Scouts Organization of the Philippines, ESOP. Everyone, please welcome our speaker for today, Eagle Scout Jack Salunga. Sir Jack.
Good morning, brothers. I'll just share my screen. Yan. Okay na ba yung screen natin?
Yes, sir. Nag-share na. Yan po. Nag-review na po yung screen nyo, sir.
All right. So, okay. Good morning, everyone. So, our topic 5th seminar webinar is entitled To Keep Myself Mentally Awake, Positive Psychology Tips for Scouters and Scouts. So again, my name is Jack Salunga, a CPHR. I'm specializing in human resources and industrial psychology. And tonight, it's a privilege for me to share with you this. I think I fell in love with this subject, no, positive psychology, and I'll be sharing this with you for, I think, 45 minutes to 1 hour. So if you have questions, I'll be happy to answer them at the end of the session. So for the meantime, allow me to introduce positive psychology and then Q&A at the last portion. Okay, so as defined by our Scout Oath and Law, ang sabi sa mentally awake daw, a person who's mentally awake is, or to be mentally awake means a boy should be alert of his surroundings at all times. It also means he should not allow himself to be influenced by anything that will compromise his wit. Ang sabi pa dito, Scout should entertain his mind with other things that will keep his brain active in a healthy way. Knowledge through reading and learning and honing skills as a Boy Scout will ensure he will remain mentally awake. So how do I define mentally awake in the context of, pa-mute na lang po yung audio natin. So how do I define mentally awake, no? Number one, you are not driven by, you are not driven by, how do I define this? Siguro it's more of you are not a reactive person. It's more of you are a proactive person. You are highly self-aware. Later I'll discuss more about self-awareness. And then you know your strengths. As a mentally awake scout or a person, you know yourself well. You know your strengths, you know your weaknesses, etc. So later on, I'll be sharing with you ano yung connection ni positive psychology and self-awareness or even sa concept of strengths. So according to Socrates, to start this session, the unexamined life is not worth living. So kapag daw hindi mo alam yung hindi ka nagte-take ng time to get to know yourself. So there's a chance na tumanda kang unhappy. If try to imagine a chicken na walang head, no? A chicken headless, no? Kapag yung chicken wala siyang ulo, so ang lakad niya pa iba-iba, wala siyang direction. So according to Socrates, and for me that's how I define someone who doesn't know his or herself, no? Para siyang manok na walang ulo na lakad lang siya ng lakad, etc. Now, for tonight, we will be using, I think si AA, you know, this is, he's familiar sa model na to. In counseling psychology, at some point, we're using the Hines Reflective Practice Model. So anong sinasabi ng model na to, no? From our experiences, it's very important that we spend some time to reflect from those experiences. And from those reflection, ang critical is yung insight. Anong nakuha mo dun sa mga reflections na yan? For example, this pandemic, no, technically nasa 5th to 6th month na tayo ng ECQ or meaning community quarantine. So from those experiences na meron tayo in the past 6 months or 5 months, I'm encouraging everyone to reflect kung kumusta na siya, anong ginagawa mo ngayon, happy ka pa ba, ano yung plans mo? And then from those reflections, sobrang critical ng insight. Anong nagain mo insights from those reflections? For you to, yung next stage is foresight, para ma-foresee mo kung anong mangyayari in the near future. For example, from your experience this pandemic, bigla kang nalungkot, from someone who's very active in the past, bigla kang kinulong ng pandemic na to. So this time, you need to reflect. So while reflecting, ang naisip mo, okay, bakit kaya ako nalulungkot? Ano kaya nangyayari sa akin? So from that statement, ano ngayon yung insight mo? Number one, maybe there's a problem with your relationships, no, with your parents, with your friends, etc. Or maybe, dahil binitawan mo yung mga physical activities mo, you need to do something about it. So, pwede kang mag-exercise sa bahay, pwede kang, etc. So you gain more insights. So comes foresight ngayon. So comes na may darating na same situation in the near future, mas mas ready ka, mas ma-predict mo yung sarili mo. So hindi ka nagiging reactive this time. So in counseling psychology, ito yung ginagamit naming model. Whenever we let's say meron kaming patient or client na may problema or nagsisik ng counseling. So hinahayaan namin silang mag-reflect and then kukuha na namin sila ng insight from those reflections para sa susunod na mangyari sa kanya yung same experience, mas magawa niya ng paraan. So later I'll share more about this, no. Pero for tonight, ito yung magiging model natin, the Hines Reflective Practice Model. No? So ginawa to ng president ng Philippine Guidance and Counseling Association or PGCA. Now, by the way, I apologize na meron akong dalawang Shih Tzu dito na at any time no, susulpot sila. Alright, so nakikita niyo ba sa screen yung lalaki to na parang sinusubukan niya mag-meditate pero hirap na hirap siya, no? I'm not sure kung meron sa inyo dito na at some point sabi mo sa sarili mo, okay, I'll try to meditate, I'll try to listen sa sinasabi ng utak ko, etc. Pero habang tumatahimik ka, mas lalong umiingay. Now, is it normal? The answer is yes. No? Sobrang normal ng gantong situation. Number one, sobrang likot talaga ng utak natin and ang challenge talaga, especially during this time, during this pandemic, is patahimikin ito. So later, I'll share with you some tips kung paano siya mapapatahimik. Pero it happens talaga na kapag gusto mong tumahimik, lalo siyang umiingay. No? Sige, mamaya, pag-usapan pa natin to. Now, nabanggit kanina ni Sir AA yung mga credentials ko. No? PhD in ganyan, nag-aaral, etc. Pero let me share with you kung sino talaga si Jack Salunga by these credentials. Number one, in the past, ako consider ko yung sarili ko na very low ang self-esteem. I do lack confidence. Sobrang takot ako sa mga authorities. Up until now, sumasagi pa rin yan. I do not trust people. Kaya medyo awkward yung feeling na I'm into human resources, I'm into psychology, and then I don't trust people. I hate people in general. So these are my credentials. I do not know my worth. I'm 100% independent. No? I'm totally unhappy with multiple suicidal thoughts. Pero hindi sila attempts. No? These are just thoughts. Kaya pag minsan nagmumuni-muni ako when I do my reflections about my experiences, natatawa ako na bakit ko nga ba naisip yung mga ganito dati. And lastly, I think meron akong longing to be loved. Now, this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 credentials and counting. Hindi ko na ma-share lahat. Using the concept of positive psychology, interventions from positive psychology. Pakonti-konti, nabubura sila. No? Nandyan sila, pero through self-awareness, through self-mastery, through reflections and insighting, madali na silang i-handle from now and then. So later I'll share more. No? So kung meron sa inyong you hate people, meron kang yung confidence mo very low, and then meron kang longing to be loved, etc. This session is for you. All right, so this will be our agenda. So I'm done with the opening. I'll be introducing positive psychology, and then we will be connecting positive psychology and scouting, and then positive psychology and interventions, and then the Q&A part. Our methodologies, of course, since webinar to, lecture discussion, although I asked Sir AA kanina kung possible na mag-breakout session tayo. So baka magkaroon tayo ng isang breakout session. And then, more of the assignment na lang. Kasi positive psychology, hindi naman siya pwedeng matutunan ng less than 1 hour. Alright, so what is positive psychology? In the past, or ngayon kapag sinabing psychology, parang tinitignan yung mga psychologists or kami na into psychology na we do repair, we do heal people. Kapag may problema yung isang individual, automatic na iniisip ng mga tao na kaya nangyari sa kanya in the past, meron ba siyang trauma, anxious ba siya, mahal ba siya ng pamilya niya, may boyfriend ba yan, may girlfriend ba yan, etc. Parang automatic yung tao ngayon nandun siya sa state na anong problema sa kanya. So that is the under clinical psychology. No? Ang positive psychology naman, baliktad naman siya. No? it talks about flourishing. It talks about well-being, strengths, and meaning. Kung ang dati ang focus ng psychology, what's not working, ang positive psychology introduced recently lang, no? Ang focus niya is ano yung mga nag-work sa'yo. So for example, kanina nabanggit ko, sobrang low ng self-esteem ko, no? So through my strengths, and then yung na-identify kong purpose ko in life, pakonti-konti nabubura ko sila. Hindi ko sila tinatabi. Actually, in-acknowledge ko sila every now and then na hindi mataas ang self-esteem ko. But using the concepts of positive psychology, mas nangingibabaw yung mga strengths over these weaknesses. So, ang sinasabi ko nowadays, sinasabi kasi mga 90% daw ng whole population are normals. 10% ito yung mga nasa may mga psychological disorders or mental disorders. Ang clinical psychology, ang focus niya is yung 10%. Kaya ang tanong ngayon ng mga nakararami, anong gagawin mo dun sa 90% na normal naman sila? Dun po pumapasok ang positive psychology. So I hope nakukuha niyo po yung difference, no? So kasi lahat naman tayo, I assume lahat tayo dito are normal individuals. Kung meron man tayong anxiety, siguro minor, etc. Or kung meron man dito na nakaka-experience ng depression, that's normal. Pero in general, siguro kung nasa 39 tayo ngayon, I assume 30 plus or 35 or 30 na lang to be specific, nandun sila sa normal population. Doon pwedeng gamitin si positive psychology. Pero across my profession, no, or during the journey ng pag-aaral ko ng positive psychology, nakita ko na even yung mga anxious individuals, even yung mga taong possibly na ma-depress at any time, posible nilang gamitin yung concepts ng positive psychology. Ngayon, sa clinical psychology, meron kaming tinatawag na post-traumatic stress disorder. No? Example, sa isang family, nagkaroon ng binaril yung parents niya, tapos nakita niya lahat. So, possibly yung taong yung magkaroon siya ng PTSD na tinatawag namin in clinical psychology. In positive psychology, meron kami tinatawag na post-traumatic growth or PTG. No? So sa mga not so good na nangyayari sa buhay mo, example, there are individuals na kapag niloko sila ng partner nila, ang sinasabi nila madalas, may trauma na ako dyan, hindi na ako mag-enter ng bagong relationship. That's so traumatic. In positive psychology, we encourage everyone na from that experience, not so good experience, there's growth. No? From that traumatic experience, possibly there's growth. That's PTG. So later I'll discuss more. No? Now, let's have our first activity. Sir A, can we
Yes, sir.
divide the group siguro into ano yung maximum na breakout natin?
We can divide the group, sir, into I think 5 if the
5.
participants would be 7 each, sir.
Yeah, sige. So anong gagawin natin sa first activity natin, no? I'm sure everyone na participants dito ng webinar na to, I'm sure at one point in your life, merong not so good experience na nangyari. No? Either, yan nga, nagkaroon ng breakup or yung parents mo, naghiwalay sila. During the board exam, napahiya ka, no? Anong kinukuha mo yung Eagle Scout na award, etc. Or sa school, napahiya ka rin, etc. Ngayon, I want you to share sa grupo, so pag nag-breakout tayo, maximum 5 minutes. From that experience, ano yung mga learning or sino ka na ngayon? So, parang ano yung growth, ano yung mga, parang what's the new you after that experience? So, possible ba yun, sir? Ibigyan natin sila ng 5 minutes to discuss
Yes,
among
sir.
themselves. Yeah.
Yes, sir. I'm now preparing the room. I'll just wait for your go signal, and they will be automatically redirected to their assigned rooms, sir.
All right. 5 minutes, max.
Okay, sir. To our participants, you will now be moved to a separate or individual group rooms.
So
And
this is
kindly just
voluntary, Sorry, this is voluntary. If you're not willing to share your experience mo, it's okay. We understand. Pero we appreciate at least one or two from the group. Mag-share siya ng not so good experience in the past. And then may mga learnings niya, sino na siya ngayon. To just discuss ano yung post-traumatic growth na to. Sige, sir.
okay, sir. I'm now opening all the rooms. Sir Jack, you can join each room, sir.
Yeah,
Can you see them, sir? Okay, sir.
sige po.
Hello, Sir Jack.
Hey, tapos na ba yung 5 minutes?
Meron pa po silang 2 minutes, sir.
Yeah. Yung iba daw wala silang audio yata or something.
Hindi makapag-share kaagad, sir. Ay, oo
Yeah,
nga, kasi
okay lang naman.
walang audio eh.
Okay lang naman. Nasang group ka, eh? Di ba meron kang ka-breakout?
Nasa group 2 ako kanina, sir.
May nagtanong nga sa akin. Sa credential mong pinresent kanina, sir, parang hindi ka bagay sa... Bakit positive psychology yung topic mo?
Ayan, masishare nyo na, sir.
Yeah, sabi ko, sagutin ko mamaya. Ilang minutes pa sila?
Sir, 1 minute left.
Okay.
So I'll be closing the rooms and they will be informed that they only have a minute left.
Yeah. Gutom yata sila ni. Hmm. Hmm. Yes.
So the breakout close in 15 seconds, sir. They will be joining us after 10 seconds.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
All in?
Waiting for just 2 more. Okay, sir. All participants are now in the main room.
Yeah, okay. So I do understand na hindi po enough yung 5 minutes to share. But let me just point out one important thing po dito, no? Under the concept of positive psychology or umbrella of positive psychology, every time na may kausap kaming, let's say, a client or anyone na struggling to something, anxious siya, or about this pandemic, etc., we're trying to we're trying to focus not on the problem, but kung ano yung na-learn niya dun sa situation. So that's post-traumatic growth, no? Hindi siya automatic na after this pandemic, after this not so good event, magiging miserable na lahat. So, for all the scouters po dito, I encourage everyone na kapag meron nangyaring hindi maganda, you apply yung model kanina from your experience, do some reflection, and then from the reflection, ano yung mga insights mo, and then comes foresight. So, ang challenge for us scouters kasi to be mentally awake, kailangan meron kang quiet time para sa sarili mo, para mahimay mo kung ano yung nangyayari. Otherwise, talagang maingay yung utak na yan. Now, so, ano yung positive psychology? No? Ito yung mga some concepts na under positive psychology. So, we have positive emotions, flow, engagement, flourishing, well-being, humor, growth, etc. So, strengths. So, yan po yung mga mangilan-ngilang words na we can encounter when we are studying positive psychology. For example, si Sir Jack Salunga, ang number one strength ko is humor. So, every time po na may problema ako, etc., or meron akong even in my work, no, kilala ko na pala biro. So, I'm using humor. I'm using yung 5 character strengths ko para mag-flourish ako, para makuha ko yung gusto ko. I'll discuss it later, no, kung ano yung mga strengths na to, yung humor na to. In positive psych, ito yung mga importanteng terms. It's Merong positive emotion, engagement, relationships, meaning, accomplishment. You know what? Yung word na happiness, yan yung isa sa mga sobrang subjective na concept. Pero according sa mga theory, psychologists, and mga philosophers, if there's one thing that, or one perfect definition daw ng happiness, is lagi siyang merong positive emotion. Yun yun. And in positive psychology, you just need to be, ang term is you need to become intentional to trigger yung mga positive emotion na to. So example, ang paggawa daw ng mabuti sa ibang tao, it triggers positive emotion based on research. So ibig sabihin, when you feel bad, may nangyaring hindi maganda, try to do random act of kindness. And that will trigger positive emotion. Try nyo, no? So for example, ngayong gabi, try to spend some time, magpasalamat ka sa isang taong never mo pa napasalamatan, and try to observe yung feeling. It triggers positive emotion. At kapag lagi mong tinitrigger yung positive emotion na yun, that's how we define happiness. Alright? Engagement, ito yung kapag when you do something, parang dire-diretso, no? You enjoy what you're doing, that's engagement. And alam nyo ba, in positive psychology, sinasabi nila, hindi, kahit daw hindi nangahulugan marami kang kaibigan, masaya ka. At some point, you only need one close relationship para maging masaya ka. Kaya valid yung statement na hindi ko kayang mabuhay nang wala siya. Based on my experience and my analysis, kapag sinabi ng tao yon, hindi siya immature. Actually, it's a sign na nagko-cope siya, and that one single relationship can make him or her happy. Meaning, if I'll be asking yung mga participants dito, so we are 45 now, no? Ano yung purpose nyo in life, no? Kung hindi nyo pa nasagot yon, that's one of your assignments po, no? You spend some time. Kasi parang mababaw pag sabi mong ang purpose ko is para sa anak ko. Or ang purpose ko para, I think yun, ang sinasabi ko dito, kapag alam mo daw yung purpose mo, it triggers positive emotion every time na may ginagawa. Kahit nahihirapan ka, tinutuloy mo pa rin yan. Example, yung mga frontliners currently, no? I believe majority of them alam nila yung purpose nila sa trabaho nila more than earning. Ang baba lang naman sahod ng mga frontliners natin in general. So, bakit nila ginagawa to? So, I believe in general, alam nila yung purpose nila, yung meaning nila, at ginagawa nila yon ng masaya. So, that's under positive psychology. And syempre, accomplishment. No? It feels good kapag meron kang na-accomplish ng mga bagay-bagay, kahit maliliit lang sila. By the way, Scouters, kapag sinabing positive psychology, hindi siya about happiness lang, no? Hindi rin siya about positive thinking lang. And hindi siya nangangahulugan na we disregard negative emotion. Sobrang importante ng mga negative emotion na yan. For example, kapag nalulungkot ka, okay lang yan. Why? Kasi, ibig sabihin, kinoconserve mo yung energy mo to survive. Kapag natatakot ka, parang tinitrigger mo yung mind mo na there's a danger coming. Tama? So, ibig sabihin, all negative emotions, hindi sila nire-reject lang. Kailangan mo sila to survive. When you feel disgust, no? Ibig sabihin, something's poisonous. Tama ba? Kasi kung i-disregard yung mga negative emotions na yan, hindi ka magiging normal. Right? Now, sa model na to, sinasabi, yung mga mentally healthy po, or mentally healthy na individuals, they flourish. Have you tried doing something na nung ginawa mo siya, parang ang bilis-bilis ng oras and then you're enjoying it too much? Ang definition is flourishing. For example, I think 2 weeks ago or a week ago, sinubukan kong gumawa ng mag-carpentry works. And from 7 a.m. up until I think 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Ang bilis ng oras. Pero at the end of the day, sobrang saya ko. That's how we define flourishing. Ang challenge po for us Scouters, we need to identify, spend some time. Ano ba yung mga activities na pwede mong gawin to flourish? Now, Sinasabi na ang happiness daw in general, composed of this, 40% genes, 50% genes, 10% environment, 40% intentional activities. So, anong ibig sabihin nito? Yung nararamdaman mo ngayon, ito yung binubuo niya. Pero ang gusto ko mag-focus kayo dun sa 40%. So, let's assume dun sa 50% yung genes mo, kalahati malungkot. Malungkot talaga yung pamilya mo. So, meron ka ng 25% na nawawala. Assuming the environment, hindi rin siya maganda, may pandemic. So, minus 10 mo pa to. So, ibig sabihin, ang natitira na lang sa'yo, 40% plus 25, 65%. Ang sinasabi po, yung 40%, you can do something about it. You need to be intentional lang. Kanina may nagtanong sa akin, Sir Jack, yung credential mo sobrang negative. Ang baba ng self-esteem mo, you lack confidence. At some point, sabi mo meron ka pang suicidal thoughts. Paano mo sila nalampasan? I'm using the 40%, the intentional activities. As much as possible, I'm being intentional sa mga ginagawa ko. Ang assumption ko, hindi malungkot ang genes ko. Assuming 40% malungkot ang genes ko. So may 10% na lang ako. Pero I still have 40% na pwede kong gawan ng paraan. So those are the intentional activities. So whenever I feel bad, nagpapasalamat ako lagi. Whenever I feel, kapag merong bad na nangyayari sa surroundings, I do exercise, I meditate. So those things are intentional. Remember, lagi kang merong 40%. Kapag pinabayaan mo to, example, pandemic, tinulog mo lang ang buong pandemic season, posibleng ma-depress ka at anytime or maging anxious ka. Pero kapag ginawa mong productive yung 40% mo, kahit yung genes mo sinasabi niya malungkot ka, you can still do something about it. And even the environment, tanggalin mo na agad yan, you can still do something about everything. So that's the 40%. Please note nyo po yung 40% na yan. Now, I'll be sharing with you some, on my experience, sa 32 years ko nang nabubuhay sa mundo, nakapag-identify ako ng mga few happiness boosters or intentional activities na pwede natin gawin. To name some, ito sila. So number one, it's very important po na meron kang at least 5-minute meditation or quiet time each night or each day. No? So anong gagawin mo sa 5-minute meditation na to? Hindi naman yung nakapikit ka lang or what, pero quiet time lang to reflect on what happened sa buong araw or anong nangyari for the past few weeks, past few months. And then do some reflections and then gain some insights and then comes foresight. Yung model kanina. So, sobrang ako na-identify ko yung importance ng meditation, yung quiet time. Sobrang I'm encouraging everyone to spend some time na mag-reflect ka kung ano nangyari buong araw. Right? Next, find something to look forward to. For example, this is a perfect example. Kapag sobrang bad trip ko sa work, nainis ako sa trabaho, sa boss ko, sa mga empleyado namin because sabi nga kanina, I'm managing a human resources department. Siyempre, ngayon kami yung frontliner ng mga corporates. No? So ngayong pandemic, sobrang stress kami kasi nagbabawas kami ng empleyado, etc. Pero how do I cope? Naglo-look forward ako sa, for example, mamayang gabi, ano kayang kakainin ko, ano kayang pinrepair ng wife ko. No? Kumusta na kaya yung mga dogs ko? Yung mga halaman ko sa labas, may bulaklak na ba sila? Next weekend, pupunta ako sa ganitong lugar. Or sa next sahod, kakain ako ng ganito. So, that, yung looking forward na yun, triggers positive emotion. And that is something intentional. Ito pa, you can commit a conscious act of kindness. Kung meron kang spare na pera, pwede mo siyang i-donate to someone or to some institutions. Manlibre ka ng kape. During the time na nasa lowest point ako ng buhay ko, meron akong ginawang activity. Every sahod, naghahanap ako ng taong ililibre ko ng coffee. So it's a conscious act of kindness. It's intentional. And in being intentional, nakakapag-cope ako ng maayos. Instead of dealing dun sa problem, tinitrigger ko yung positive emotion. At alam mo yun, hindi ko na-acknowledge ko yung mga mali pero mas nagka-flourish ako dun sa kabilang side. Next, you infuse positivity into your surroundings. Paano? Pwedeng yung wallet mo, lagyan mo ng picture ng family mo para every time na binubuksan mo siya, wala siyang pera, pero nandyan yung family members mo. Sa office, kung nag-work ka, lagay mo rin yung picture ng asawa mo, ng baby mo, ng dogs mo. So, sa cellphone mo, lagay mo yung character mo sa ML. I'm not sure, no? Pero this is something intentional. You infuse positivity into your surroundings. Think of something na kapag nakita mo siya, you'll be inspired. Siguro yun ang ginawa din ng Diyos kung bakit kapag kinasal ka, meron kang sing-sing. Just like me, no? Kasi every time na nakikita mo siya, you feel, meaning there are positive emotions. So that's infusing positivity. Next, ito po, alam niyo ba, during pandemic season, maraming taong naging anxious and depressed kasi nawalan sila ng exercise. I remember one person calling me, I think, around 11 p.m. Tinatawagan niya ako. Ang sabi niya, gusto daw niya mag-suicide. So, syempre, a bit alarming yung tawag na yon. And then, habang kakwentuhan ko siya, nalaman ko na lang, dati pala siyang swimmer, active siyang swimmer. Dahil sa pandemic, nawalan siya ng exercise. So, what happened? Nadidepress siya, na-anxious siya. So, sa tagal ng pag-uusap namin, umabot sa point na sinabihan ko siya na baka you can still do something about kung nasan ka nga sa bahay, you do exercise, etc. etc. Last ko siyang kinumusta, sobrang okay niya na because of exercise. So ngayon, kung tinutulog mo lang yung pandemic season na to, brothers, you need to do at least 15 minutes siguro to 30 minutes. You jog in place, mag-hop ka, etc. Sobrang importante po nito. You spend money but not on stuff. No? Either you donate to, again nga, institution. Ngayon, di tayo pwede mag-travel, no? Pero kapag umokay na lahat, I'm encouraging everyone na mag-spend ka ng time traveling. That's something intentional. Next, you need to exercise your signature strength. Paano? Mamaya, merong link na i-share ko sa inyo na malalaman nyo kung saan kayo magaling. Dito ko nalaman na yung number 1 strength ko is humor. Number 2, gratitude. Number 3, zest. Number 4, hope. Yung hope, sobrang importante sa akin noon. Kapag hindi na okay ang lahat, ginagamit ko yung hope na strength ko to cope. So, that's intentional activity. Next, you maintain close relationships. Again, hindi po nangangahulugang meron kang 10 kaibigan, masaya ka. At least 1, 2, or 3 close relationships na pwede mong tawagan kapag meron kang problema. And ito pa, downtime to recharge. Kung ang trabaho mo is nasa office, araw-araw nagbabasa, nagre-research, baka daw makatulong na pagdating mo ng bahay, huwag ka namang magbasa ng libro pa or alam mo yung gagawin mo, kung anong ginagawa mo sa trabaho, yun din ang gagawin mo sa bahay. You need to do something different. Pwedeng gardening, pwedeng maglaro ka ng computer games, pwedeng magluto ka. So, that's one of the happiness boosters. No? So, 9 lang to, pero marami pa to. At si Sir na nagtanong kanina, I think si Sir Roldan, I'm not sure. Sir, paano ba nawala yung mga low self-esteem na etc.? Halos yung 9 na to, ginagawa ko sila on a daily basis. I am being intentional every now and then. Hindi ko nahayaan na yung genes ko yung mag-manage sa akin. So, that's being mindful about everything. No? Now, looking at the other side, activity number 2. Tingnan niyo po to. Anong number to? Di ba this is number 3 sa screen ninyo, no? Kapag tinignan mo siya sa right side ng screen mo, napatinga lang ganyan, pwede mong tingnan na this is a W, no? Letter W. Kapag sa kabilang side, sa left side, pwede mo siya makita as letter M. Kapag sa taas, pwedeng number 3 or what. Sa baba naman, pwedeng summation. So, ang point nito is, kapag sinabi kong letter M ito, pwede nyo ba akong questionin? Di ba? Hindi, no? Kasi baka nakatingin kasi ako sa left side. So, ang point dito is very simple, no? Saan ka ba kasi tumitingin? Kasi baka kasi masyado mong hina-highlight yung problema at nakakalimutan mo na meron palang solusyon, no? So, example, sinabihan ka ng boss mo na ang hina mo naman. Diba? Automatic kung magiging reactive ka, Baka magre-resign ka na kinabukasan, baka hindi mo na siya kausapin, etc. No? Pero kapag tinignan mo siya na maayos, umupo ka, nag-reflect ka, and then you gain some insights, baka nung sinabi niya ang hina mo naman, hindi naman niya sinasabing mahina ka talaga as a person. Baka pwede mo siyang tingnan dun sa angulo na, okay, baka dito ako sa mahina, tatanungin ko nga siya saan ako mahina. So instead of being reactive, I'm challenging everyone, no, yung mga brothers dito na, yung mga scouters. You need to sit down and then see the whole picture and then check mo yung perspective mo. Baka kasi ibang side ka tumitingin. Hindi number 3 ang tinitingnan mo. Baka ang tinitingnan mo W, baka M, etc. Ito nag-work sa akin to, no? Nabuo yung lack of self-confidence ko in the past kasi sa scouting to, no? One scout master told me, Jack, mahina kang scout leader. Dapat hindi na lang ikaw yung naging presidente dyan or chairman. So, third year high school ako noon, kung di ako nagkakamali. So, nung sinabi niya sa akin yon, 1, 2, 3, 5 to 10 years, no? Hawak ko yung idea na yun na hindi ako magaling. Until such time na binago ko yung perspective ko na nakita ko, okay. Hindi naman niya sinasabing mahinang-mahina ako bilang si Jack. Meron lang akong pwedeng ma-improve. And then everything went right. We're okay now. Now, ang sabi dito, the chief enemy of good decisions daw is a lack of sufficient perspective on the problem. No? So, ang laging catch kasi dyan is huwag tayong maging reactive. No? Example, sa government ngayon, no? Kung critical ka about the government, make sure na hindi ka lang nagiging reactive lagi. You need to gain more perspective, gain more data. Ang binabasa mo ba sa Facebook, is it something true or a fake news? So kung lagi ka lang nagre-respond, I'm challenging you na look for another perspective. Next, madalas kapag may kausap tayo, ito, assignment na lang po ito, no? Dati nag-create ako ng parang mga coffee sessions, no, with my students. Pero hindi namin pinag-uusapan yung problema nila. Ang pinag-uusapan namin yung mga success stories nila. Under the umbrella of positive psychology, sobrang importante ng mga success stories. I believe maraming mga tao yung depressed or na-anxious sila in life. Kasi, let's say, meron silang mga success stories pero wala silang masabihan. I'm not sure kung ilan sa inyo yung gano'n. No? Yung example, pinuri ka ng boss mo, ng teacher mo, ang galing-galing mo, etc. Perfect ka sa exam mo. So, dala-dala mo yung exam na to pag uwi mo ng bahay. And then, pag uwi mo ng bahay, kumain kayo, hindi mo makwento yung success story na yan. Hindi mo masabi sa parents mo. So, anong nagiging ending? So, mas lalo kang nagiging depressed na, ang dami kong success stories pero wala akong masabihan. Yung sinabi kong close relationship kanina, that's very important, no? If you can find someone, at least 1 or 2 persons na pwede mong pagsabihan ng success stories mo, that's being intentional and you are triggering positive emotion, mas mag-flourish ka. So, again, importante yung mga success stories na to. Now, sinasabi po, according sa happiness research, you just have to generate more positive emotions or mood. You do not neglect issues. Ang tawag sa mga negative emotions or sa mga, we do not call weaknesses areas for improvement. Ang tawag namin areas for growth. So kung meron kang bagay na mahina ka, tawagin mo siyang areas for growth or tawagin mo silang areas for growth. Kasi in that statement, growth, mahina ka, may chance na gumaling ka dyan. And then I'll be sharing with you yung 3.1 ratio na to. Ano po yung 3.1 ratio na to? Sinasabi, in every one negative emotion, you need 3 positive emotions para ma-cover mo sila. Example, kapag sa bahay, sinabihan ka ng parents mo na, bobo ka talaga. No? Para mabura yung concept ng bobo na yon, you need 3 positive emotions. Ngayon, kapag araw-araw sinasabihan ka na ang bobo mo, ang hina mo, ayun, possibly, hindi ka maging okay. Hindi magkakaroon ng mga not so good experiences. So, ang challenge ko po sa inyo, no? As much as possible, kapag may kausap yung mga tao, pansinin mo lagi mga maganda sa kanya. Kasi malay mo, meron pala siyang pinahawakang isang negative emotion at kailangan niya ng 3 positive emotions from you para ma-cover yan. So, ito yon. Ngayon, kung gusto mo mag-flourish daw, in every one negative emotion, kailangan mo siyang patungan ng 11 positive emotions. So, kung if you are a parent or a teacher, no, or a scout leader, ang challenge ko sa inyo is bugbugan, meaning damihan mo yung mga positive emotions. Damihan mo yung mga success stories. Damihan mo yung mga recognitions and rewards para mag-flourish yung mga under sa iyo. 1:1, that's languishing, no? So, one negative emotion, di siya kayang burayin ng one positive emotion. Now, so how do we develop our strengths? Number 1, you need to identify kung ano yung mga strengths mo. Paano? So, there's this website. This is a free website. Ang search nyo lang, Values in Action Survey. Lalabas po ito. And then, bibigyan niya kayo ng link para ma-take mo yung free survey. I think umaabot to ng less than mga 15 minutes para matapos siya. Pero at the end of the exam, the online survey, makikita mo yung 24 strengths mo, naka-arrange sila based kung saan ka magaling at saka saan ka mahina. Pero it doesn't necessarily mean na nasa bottom 5 sila. Ibig sabihin, weakness mo yung mga yon. Kasi sinasabi yung 24 strengths na to, present naman lahat sila sa atin. Ang difference lang, meron kang magaling na 5, meron kang mahinang 5. So it's an awareness na dito ka magaling, ito yung gamitin mo. Itong 5, you can do, these are areas for growth na pwede mong ilabas. So si Sir Jack, humor, gratitude, zest, hope, and yung love for learning. Kaya kung papansinin mo yung credential na binanggit ni Sir AA kanina, puro ako aral lang aral ng aral. Kasi I love learning and that's one of my strengths. Kapag nag-aaral ako, I'm flourishing. Parang pinapatungan ko ng 11 positive emotion yung mundo over 1 negative emotion. So kung may tanong pa rin kayo na, Sir Jack, ang pakit ng credential mo, bakit ganyan? Ang negative masyado, may mga suicidal thoughts ka pa. Ginamit ko yung mga strengths ko na to para mabura lahat. Or meaning, para maging areas for growth sila at matakpan sila. So ito yung mga 24 na character strengths na pwede mo makita dun sa survey na yon. Again, let me remind everyone, lahat ng mga to present sa'yo. It just so happen, merong top 5, merong bottom 5. Alright, so kung example, ang top strength mo, spirituality, and then may experience ka not so good, so paano mo siya gagamitin? Mag-pray ka lang, and then attend online masses, etc. At tingnan mo yung sarili mo, you'll flourish pa konti-konti. Sige. So assignment niyo po, identify ways on how you can use your top 5 character strengths. That's your assignment. Sige pa. I'll make this very quick na lang, no, Sir A. Alam ko, lumalampas na tayo sa oras. Sorry po.
Okay po, sir. 30 minutes po.
Yeah. One way po para kanina nabanggit natin yung ano yung application ng positive psychology. You need to be intentional. Ngayon, there's one important thing na na-recognize ko na habang pinag-aaralan ko yung positive psychology. And that is self-mastery. Marami akong kilala na, yun nga, para silang manok na walang head, na araw-araw nabubuhay lang sila, earning this much. Pero pag tinanong mo sila kung ano yung purpose nila in life, ano yung mga values nila, hindi sila makasayot. No? So, I'm afraid na eventually kapag tumanda yung mga ito yung mga malulungkot na magre-retire. Now, paano ba tayo magiging mentally awake, no, using the concept of positive psychology? I'm encouraging everyone na i-master nila yung sarili nila. How do I define self-mastery? Ito siya. It is based on the premise that awareness is the beginning of control. And you will agree, no, that it is much easier to control and master something that you know that than something you do not know. Kapag kilala mo yung sarili mo, mas makokontrol mo lahat. No? I'll give you an example. No? Nung chinek ko yung life map ko, kasi meron kami tinatawag na life mapping. No? Ipa-plot mo yung nangyari sa buhay mo pabaliktad. And then you'll identify kung ano yung mga highest points, ano yung mga lowest points. No? Na-identify ko, I'll just give you an example. No? During the course of my life mapping, minamap ko yung buhay ko, nakita ko yung reason kung bakit first year high school pa lang, bakit kaya nagkaka-girlfriend na ako and then hindi sila tumatagal? So umabot sa point na nakasakit na ng individuals, no? Parang hindi humihinto yung mga relationships ko. Parang dire-diretso sila, no? So, na-identify ko yung point na yun. And then, through self-mastery, nakita ko yung reason why. Kasi nawalan ako ng mother nung first year high school ako. Nung pagkamatay ng mother ko, automatic yung brain ko nag-respond siya. Hanap ko ng mother figure mo. So, nabuhay ako ng more than 10 years, no? Na wala akong ginawa kundi maghanap unconsciously ng mother figure. Pero nung time na identify ko yung point na yon, parang may mali eh. Kasi parang meron na ako nasasaktan. So, that's the time na kinontrol ko na yung kung ano yung nangyayari. So, I stopped, no? And then, pumasok ako sa mga serious relationships na. And sabi ko nga sa inyo kanina, recently, I just got married. So, ang sinasabi ko lang, kapag mas nagiging aware ka sa genes mo, or meaning sa background mo, yung sa mga life forces mo, mas madali mo sila makakontrol instead of reacting always. Now, so ano yung sinasabi ng positive psychology and self-mastery? Number 1, alam mo ba yung mga strengths mo? What makes you flourish? Ano yung purpose mo in life? How do you define meaning? How do you find meaning in life? And do you have strong social support? Kapag hindi mo masagot yung mga tanong na to ngayon, I'm encouraging you na huminto ka. Not, of course, hindi to one night okay na lahat, no? Parang you take some time na masagot mo yung mga tanong na to. These are just few questions. And then habang sinasagot mo sila, better kung isulat mo sila. Kasi kung hindi mo sila masulat, mahirapan ka, no? Example, nung may nangyari sa akin not so good experience in the past, dahil alam ko yung strength ko na gratitude, wala akong ginawa for a month or two na kundi magpasalamat sa mga tao, dire-diretso. And then even now, no, kapag hindi ako feeling good, ang gagawin ko lang is I'll thank someone, randomly lang, no? So kapag naka-receive, for example, yung mga few scouts dito na kilala ko, no? Kapag naka-receive kayo ng text from me na bigla ako nagpasalamat, that's me being intentional, using my character strength na gratitude. Kasi kilala ko yung sarili ko, no? So again, there's a bit problem kapag hindi mo mas nasasagot yung mga questions na to. Now, ito yung life mapping, no? Sa life mapping, may mga questions dyan na babalikan mo yung buhay mo and then you identify yung mga high points tsaka yung mga low points. Ito yung imamap mo from the time na pinanganak ka up until present. Kumusta ka financially, socially, spiritually, etc. So, all aspects of your life, i-identify mo sila and all. I can share kay Sir AA niya yung merong Excel file to na pwede kong i-share sa inyo. And then, it's an activity na makikita mo lahat yung galaw ng buhay mo from the time na pinanganak up until the present. Pero ang sinasabi lang nito is from the life map, makikita mo sino yung mga tumulong sa'yo ng time na nahihirapan ka. Ano yung ginawa mo nung time na bigla ka naging successful. So makikita mo lahat sila doon. I'll share with you the Excel file. Dadaan ko through Sir AA, through Aguila Pilipinas. Now, mental models, no? The how or why something happened. Ito, for example, why did the chicken cross the road? No? Bakit daw ang manok, may nakita kang manok, bakit siya tumawid? So, ang sabi ng isang evolutionary biologist, the chicken crossed the road because they saw a potential mate on the other side. Kapag daw tinanong mo isang kinesiologist, the chicken crossed the road because the muscle in the leg contracted and pulled the leg bone forward during each step. Sabi ng kinesiologist. Kapag tinanong mo naman yung neuroscientist, the chicken crossed the road because the neurons in the chicken's brain fired and triggered the movement. Sabi niya. So, pag tinanong mo, for example, tinanong mo yung isang normal na vendor, bakit tumawid yung manok? Kasi baka meron siyang pagkain sa kabila. I'm not sure. Or kapag tinanong mo yung psychologist, bakit siya tumawid? Ano siya? Meron siya mental disorder. Hindi niya alam ang ginagawa niya na sa kabila. So, depende, no? Depende kung ano yung ang tawag yun mental model, no? It's an explanation of how something works. It is a concept, framework, or worldview. Paano mo nakikita yung mga bagay-bagay at paano mo sila ini-interpret. So mental models are deeply held beliefs about how the world works. Now, bakit ko po sinashare sa inyo yung mga mental model? Kapag may nangyayari sa isang, let's say, situation, no, at you reacted this way, ang unang tatanong mo sa sarili mo, bakit ka ganun nag-react? Check mo kung ano yung mental model mo. And from that answer, no, ganito yung mental model. Baka kasi nung, example, no, bakit kayo nagagalit kay Duterte? Bakit kayo, or bakit gusto niyo si Duterte? So ano yung mental model mo? Kasi baka in the past may nangyari pala na ganito yung itsura ng teacher mo, etc. So it's very important na ma-recognize natin yung mga mental models natin para mas maging self-aware tayo, no? Mas ma-master natin yung sarili natin. Again, hindi pwedeng laging reactive ka na lang. You need to stop and think. You need to be proactive or assertive sa mga bagay-bagay. Hindi yung laging bira ka lang ng bira. So, ang mental model po, when your set of mental models is limited, so is your potential for finding a solution. So, kapag hindi mo nilawakan perspective mo, yung mga, ako laging sinasabi sa akin nung katrabaho ko to, kasi sabi niya, Jack, parang bakit meron kang strength na kapag nagkakagulo na sa isang bagay, lagi mo siya nakikita sa kabilang side. Sabi niya. Sabi ko, I think ganun po kasi yung training namin in psychology. No? Kasi ayaw namin tingnan yung tao lang sa genes. Gusto namin makita kung paano siya mag-isip, kumusta ba siya ngayon, ano bang, ang dami kasi bumubuo sa pagkatao ng isang tao. So it will help you na makita mo, makontrol mo yung mga bagay-bagay kapag meron kang malawak or mas maraming or mas malawak na mental model. So scientists generally agree that no theory is 100% correct, sabi nila. Thus, the real test of knowledge is not the truth, but utility. Ano ba lagi yung ginagamit mo? No? Hindi yung, wala naman kasing perfect na theory eh. Depende kung paano mo siya ginagamit. So when a certain worldview dominates your thinking, you'll try to explain every problem you face through that worldview. Example, kung you have a bad experience or bad relationship in the past, so, or bawa, galit ka sa mga lalaki, for example, or sa mga babae, baka every time na lang mo makita kang babae, parang general lagi ang atake mo sa kanila. So, simply because your mental model is too limited. So, how do we expand mental model? Number one, you read best books. You studying the fundamentals of seemingly unrelated fields. Kung nasa psychology ka ngayon, perhaps you want to explore engineering, or yung ibang, para mas maintindihan mo sila. Kasi kung limited ka lang sa kung anong pinahawakan mo ngayon, yun lang yung mental model mo. And learning from people with wildly different life experiences. Ako, mahilig ako magpagkwentuhan sa mga taong mature or mga may wisdom na. No? Yung mga 50s, and then I'll get their wisdom. Next, cognitive biases. Sinasabi ang brain daw natin by nature bias yan. Sobrang bias niya. Merong, check nyo po sa internet, search nyo, cognitive biases, may lalabas na over 100 biases daw ang brain natin. So kapag nabasa mo yung mga yon, identify mo kung saan ka bias. And then, ang importante kasi ma-identify mo sila para pag may nangyayari, agad mo masabi sa sarili mo, hindi, bias lang ako dyan. For example, meron akong galit sa mga accounting, no? Ako personally. Kasi bias ako sa kanila kasi lagi nila akong ino-hold to account. Pero ayaw nila to account. Meron akong ganung bias, no? So, since aware ako doon sa bias ko na yon, every time na may nakikita akong accountant or kausap, mas na-manage ko yung sarili ko. Mas na-manage ko yung relationship namin. Kasi kapag sinabi sa akin, accountant yan. Kung ako si Jack in the past, I'm sure galit ako agad sa kanya. Pero since aware ako sa mga biases ko, mas nakokontrol ko lahat. That's being mentally awake, my dear Scouters. No? Ethical dilemma. May nangyari na ba sa buhay mo na bigla kang naipit sa isang sitwasyon na hindi mo alam kung ang decision mo? So parang example, I'll give you a story na, mabilis na story to a minute. Ito yung love story ni Ben at saka ni Tot. No? Si Ben, mahal na mahal niya si Tot. No? Si Tot, meron siyang stage 4 cancer at sinasabi mamamatay na siya bukas. No? Eh dahil mahal na mahal ni Ben si Tot, gagawin niya lahat para mabuhay yung asawa niya. Ngayon, one time, meron siyang na-meet na doctor, or during that day, may na-meet siyang doctor na meron siyang gamot para mapagaling si Tot. Exaggerated story to, no? Ang presyo ng gamot is 1 million. Kaso ang pera ni Ben, 1,000 lang. So, syempre, mahal na mahal niya si Tot. Gagawin niya lahat para mabigay yung gamot na yon. So, anong ginawa niya? Nanghiram siya ng pera sa lahat ng Boy Scout in the Philippines. At what happened? Nakaipon siya ng 10,000. 10,000 lang naipon niya. 1 million yung gamot. So ngayon, dahil mahal na mahal ni Ben si Tot, naisip niya, nakawin ko na lang kaya yung gamot na yon. So naipit siya sa isang dilema. Kapag ninakaw niya, masama siya. Kapag naman pinabayaan niya yung asawa niya, magmumukha din siyang masama. That's ethical dilemma. Tama ba? Kasi parang ang idea nun, parang damn if you do and damn if you don't. Parang saan ako pwesto? Kapag hindi ko ginawa, masama ako. Pag ginawa ko, masama ako. Ngayon, ano ang sinasabi ng ethical dilemma, no? Kapag assignment niyo po sa akin to, no? Kami ginawa namin kasi in one paper, nagsulat kami ng ethical dilemma namin in our life, no? Kapag sinulat mo yung ethical dilemma mo, tapos kung ano yung naging decision mo in your life, mas makikilala mo yung sarili mo. Okay, ginawa ko to kasi ito yung values ko eh. Pero ang tanong kasi doon, kapag ba nangyari ulit yung same situation na yun, or same dilemma na yun, will you react the same way or magbabago ka na ngayon? So, my challenge is you spend some time, another assignment po ito, upo ka, isulat mo yung ethical dilemma mo in your life, and then from that dilemma, again, check your values, what motivates you, ano yung priorities mo in your life. At again, kapag nangyari ba ulit yon, gagawin mo ba siya ulit or hindi? That's ethical dilemma. In other words, my dear friends, no, self-mastery is, ang tawag ko dito, quality at the source. No? Kapag na-master mo yung sarili mo, na-identify mo yung mga sources. Sorry po sa dog ko. So kapag na-master mo yung, kapag nasasagot mo yung ethical dilemma na to, na-identify mo to, yung strengths mo, mental models mo, cognitive biases, nakita mo yung life map mo, na-identify mo yung mga values mo, etc. Yung source mismo ng behavior mo, mas na-manage mo siya. Thus, you become more mentally awake. Yun po ang sinasabi ko. Instead of being reactive lagi, mas kontrolado mo yung relationships mo. In other words, no, to sum it up, this is how I define, how I apply positive psychology in the context of scouting or being mentally awake. No? It's so important that you master yourself. No? Every day is a self-discovery time. No? Hindi naman nangahulugan na ako, nag-aaral na ako ng PhD ko ng counseling psychology. I finished my master's degree in industrial psychology. Nagbabasa ako ng mga books, etc. Makikilala ko na yung sarili ko. It's a daily journey. Pero don't stop. That's my challenge. No? Don't stop. Every now and then, makikilala mo yung sarili mo. Like ako, I just got married. No? It's a daily thing na kinikilala ko yung sarili ko on how I manage my relationship. And even my partner, kinikilala ko rin siya. Hindi siya one-stop na, kinasal kami, kilala ko ng buong buo yan. No, it doesn't stop there. It's a daily journey and it will lead to a mentally awake you. And syempre, how to become mentally awake? No? You need to be intentional po. Hindi siya driven by your genes. No? Malungkot ang genes mo, bastos ang genes mo, madaldal ang genes mo, ganyan ka na forever. You need to become intentional. And paano ka magiging intentional? Nabanggit po yung mga some examples kanina. You need to commit a random act of kindness. You do exercise 15 minutes every day. You meditate. These are all intentional activities. At kapag ginawa mo yung dalawang to, it will lead to a mentally awake individual. Mas na-manage mo yung mga taong under you, yung family mo, yung relationships mo. And in the end, you'll become more happy. That's the idea. Hindi ka nagiging reactive lagi. So sabi nga dito, no, parang like a second-hand smoke, and to end po our session and to open po yung floor for questions. Like a second-hand smoke, the leakage of emotions can make a bystander an innocent casualty of someone else's toxic state. Sabi po ni Daniel Goleman 'to. Anong ibig sabihin po nito 'no? Ako sinubukan ko sa office 'to, it's an experiment I did. Yun daw mga taong 10 feet away from you, 10 feet away from you, kung ano yung mood mo, makukuha nila. 10 feet away. No? So, para siyang secondhand smoke. In the office, kapag masaya ka, it will trigger yung positive emotion ng people 10 feet away from you. No? So, para talaga siya secondhand smoke. So, if you are becoming more intentional sa mga activities mo, if you are being more self-aware, it's contagious. It kung ginawa mo siya sa let's say sa council ninyo, and that yung mga taong under that council ginawa nila sa bahay nila, at yung mga taong nasa bahay nila ginawa pa sa community nila, and that community ginawa pa sa isang community. So it's contagious, and I believe we can create a better world. Nakuha niyo po ba yung sinasabi ko? And even subukan niyo mamaya, try to experiment na sa bahay or bukas na umaga during breakfast. Huwag kang magsalita, natahimik ka lang. Kahit maingay yung mga anak mo or yung kapatid mo, huwag kang magsalita. Makikita mo, tatahimik sila after a minute or two, tatahimik sila. Kasi emotions are contagious. So if you are becoming intentional, kung tumulong ka sa ibang tao, may tutulong din sa ibang tao. So that's the whole idea. So ayun. So that's me. Thank you so much po. So we'll open Sir A yung question po para makakain na kayo. I'm sure gutom na po yung iba sa inyo.
Maraming salamat, Sir Jack.
Yeah.
Ngayon po, we will be opening the floor for your questions. And also, if you have inquiries regarding the talk, just raise your hand or you can write your questions on the chat box.
I hope yung question nung nagtanong kanina sa akin sa breakout session, nasagot ko po. No? In general, kapag tinignan ko yung life map ko, hindi okay yung past experiences ko. No? Leading me to someone na hindi okay. But since through self-mastery, through being intentional with my activities, na-overcome ko lahat yung mga yun. No? So, kaya kapag tinitingnan ko rin yung mga accomplishments ko na, oh my God, natapos ko yung, nakapagtapos ako ng ganitong degree. Currently, I'm taking my doctorate degree. And then just, I think 2 days ago, I got my certificate in HR. Kasi kung titignan, parang matutuwa ka lang na from those experiences in the past, applying these simple steps, no, self-mastery and being intentional, you can be more, no? Instead na matrauma ako sa mga nangyari in the past, mas nag-grow pa ako. So that's post-traumatic growth. So I hope nasagot ko po yung question kanina ni Sir Roldan. Question po, I'll be happy to answer a few questions. Yeah, if you'll also notice this logo, no, pinagawa ko to sa isang estudyante ko. Recently binigay niya sa akin. This is how I define happiness. No? This is my advocacy happiness project. Kung papansin niyo, naka-box siya. No? Kasi I think based on research, happiness can be learned. Happiness, para siyang, it's a science. Eh. So it can be learned, it can be taught. It's contagious. Yeah, kaya nakaganyan, it's color yellow. Yellow is the color of happiness. Parang ganun.
Pastor Jack, it's just it's a message of a positive comment from Sir Chobi from India. Good web to make people mentally awake and strong to fight COVID-19 or negative thoughts. Kanina po kasi nakausap ko siya during the breakout session, and one of the events that he considered as something very problematic was the COVID. And he said what they learn about it is that they need to help the kids, especially regarding their mental health, and also helping the adults or the elderly.
Yeah.
Yung for Sir Chobi. And here's a question, sir, from Sir Amarga. How can we increase our oxytocin or happy hormones? Good question.
Yeah, oxytocin is the cuddle hormone, no? From the cuddle, number one, you need more cuddles. A simple hug from someone can increase your oxytocin level. Um, Actually, it can be intentional din, no? Through. Pero ang pinaka-definition kasi niya is cuddle hormone siya. So, through building strong relationships with people, mas na-increase mo yung oxytocin level mo. Ganun siya. Ganun siya.
Sir, another question?
Yeah,
Sige
sorry,
po.
sorry. Just to add, no, this pandemic, it's a challenge to be mentally awake. I must admit, no, during the first 2 months of this pandemic season, I believe I'm not mentally awake. I just, parang every day I'm just sleeping and then I'm just eating. And then until one time, sabi ko parang this is not right na I need to do something about it. Through the acknowledgement, that's very important, the acknowledgement, no? Through self-awareness na I'm just keep on sleeping for 2 months. So what I did, after acknowledging that, seeing the whole picture, the whole perspective of the COVID-19, I started exercising, doing something good. I'm infusing positivity in my surroundings. No? I bought a lot of plants. I do gardening na, etc. That's me being intentional and being mentally awake. Yeah. Sige po. Sorry.
Thank you, Sir Jack. And po, it's a good comment also regarding the plants, and it's well-researched din na nakakatulong po na may plants tayong nakikita, especially for our scouters doing online job, especially stressful po ngayon. And ayun po, meron po tayong another question from Sir Adap. How can we apply positive emotion due to this pandemic if we are bombarded of different problems that sometimes lead to depression?
Number one, this pandemic talaga, after this pandemic, the next challenge talaga is mental, no? Tama ba? So from the medical, economical, and then comes this, eventually mental health ang magiging problem natin, no? So how can you use positive emotion? My answer is, you just, again, need to be intentional. Sobrang, even sa experience ko as I'm heading a human resources, no? Parang every now and then, I'll do this, I'll parang non-stop yung life, no? There's this article, this might help, sir, no? There's this article and a research sinasabi niya, during this pandemic, do not force yourself to be productive. No? Parang if you need to have some downtime, that's very important. And during downtime, do something that will, kasi yung work nandyan siya, hindi siya mawawala. That I'm sure. Pero yung during the downtime, yung mga intentional activities mo, that will make, or meaning that will make the big difference. It will create a big difference kasi. Like, bawa, sabi ko nga, ako every weekend, I'm doing carpentry now. Nagpupukpuk ako. For whatever reason, I'm enjoying it. Far from being a human resources, far from being a student in counseling psychology. Pero I'm enjoying it. Kasi you cannot solve a problem kapag walang positive emotion na present siya. That's for sure. Otherwise, you're just being reactive. So, tignan mo yung buong picture, stop, and then manage kung anong kaya mong manage. Pero again, do not force yourself to be productive. Otherwise, you'll become, possibly, baka mauwi ka nga sa depression. That's a good reminder. Ako nung nabasa ko yun, sabi ko, yeah, that's true. Kasi during the pandemic, akala ko I can do a lot pero hindi pala. Dapat pala magbawas pa ako ng gagawin ko and spend more time with myself and with my close relationships. Yan po.
Thank you, sir. Another question from Sir Marco Fajardo. He is asking, what possible way to do for young scouts and to tell them not to stop scouting, especially now during the pandemic?
Okay. Not to stop scouting. Number one, we need to be clear remember the word purpose or meaning. number one, for us leaders, we need to be clear kung ano yung, kasi kung hindi clear sa atin yung purpose and meaning on why we do things, it will be impossible for us to convince others to stay. Uh, Kailangan clear pa lang, sa atin pa lang clear na kung anong nagawa ng scouting para sa atin. Kasi it will comes naturally kapag in-invite mo na sila ulit. And then number two, ang term ko is a role model. No? I have this perception, I don't want to force anyone. Pero I want to show them na ako to, and then it's your choice kung you'll join me or not. Kasi binibigay ko pa rin yung option sa tao if susunod siya or hindi. Pero I'm trying my best na, okay, ito yun. Parang positive psychology, no? After this session, I'm not expecting all participants na you apply this. Hindi naman. Pero I'm telling you, it's working. It worked sa side ko, no? And it will continue to work. Parang, so I'm living. I think that's my answer. No? You live by the scout oath and law. Kung ano yung sinasabi ng scouting. And then eventually, yeah, kung susunod sila, better. Kung hindi, still, stick ka pa rin kung ano yung values mo, etc. You don't force anyone, no? Kasi forcing anyone triggers negative emotion. At kapag maraming negative emotion, there's no learning. That's for sure.
Thank you, Sir Jack. Another question po. How can I reframe, from Sir Redamson Rapote, how can I reframe the situation with balanced perspective?
Balanced perspective. Number one, ang number one key kasi is you need to see the whole picture. Yung increase mo yung mental models mo, as mentioned kanina. No? And then, kapag, it's also very important na meron kang, ako, practice ko to eh. Kapag, in order for me to balance yung thought ko, no? Or yung kung ano man nandito, I normally look for someone na pwede kong makausap. Parang ano bang right term to? Di brainstorming eh, pero someone that will, parang we were sharing the same boat just to get some insights, no? Kasi baka meron siyang mental model na hindi ko mental model. Or baka meron siyang nakikita na hindi ko nakikita. That's me balancing everything, no? Kasi kapag tinignan mo lang yung sarili mo and then not seeing the whole picture and not seeing other perspective, I think mahirapan kang to put things in balance. Parang that's my idea. The key word always is to see the whole picture. No? Para siyang, alam niyo ba yung flashlight? Di ba may flashlight, no? Di ba ang flashlight kapag, example, this is a flashlight. Di ba kapag nasa floor siya, ang late nung sakop niyang ilaw. Pero habang tinataasan mo yung flashlight, lumalaki yung scope ng light. Tama ba? Ako kapag na-stress na ako, hindi ko makita yung balance, parang vividly, no? Parang ini-imagine ko yung sarili ko, tinataasan ko yung flashlight. Ibig sabihin, I'm increasing the scope nung nakikita ko. Parang sa mga staff ko na kapag nakikita kong negative na sila, taasan mo yung flashlight mo. Tapos bigla silang, ay, oo nga, no, sir. So, tataasan nila yung flashlight nila. Parang ang message ko noon, you increase your perspective, yung scope. Kasi baka meron kang hindi nakikita. Tapos sabi ko, you might want me to help you. Taasan ko pa yung flashlight mo. So, dalawa na kami tataas ng flashlight. And then, yeah, nakikita namin yung buong picture. Yeah, parang that's how that's my answer for that.
Thank you, sir. Another question from Sir Elmer Vargas. Positive thinking po na, ano kaya ang magandang gawin pagkatapos ng pandemic at saan magandang pumunta or saan kaya pwedeng mamasyal? Good question.
Oo, parang hirap, parang ako ba dapat sasagot yan? And then number one, saan ba maganda? Ako ang number one ko sa gagawin after this pandemic kapag clear na lahat, magta-travel talaga ako. Sabi ko nga kanina, I'll be spending money hindi sa stuff sa experience. I'm not sure sa lugar, no, pero lalo na I just got married, walang honeymoon dahil nga wala naman lugar, no. Pero the point is, after this pandemic, um, punta ka sa isang lugar na hindi mo pa napuntahan or pwedeng lagi mong pinupuntahan. And then wag mong isipin yung money. Meaning, basta mag-spend ka ng money doon. Kasi eventually, and then check yourself na you'll flourish. Yan po.
Thank you, sir. Sir, from Sir Amarga, in this time of pandemic, mental health is much at risk.
Yeah.
Do we have any intervention to help scouters and scout leaders as well on how to be healthy mentally and holistically? So
Yeah,
targeted po ay scouters.
Scouters, no? Number one, ako, we normally, in psychology, we're using psychological first aid, no? Kapag nakita niyo pong hindi na siya manageable or hindi na handle po yung situation, no? You need to parang i-endorse na siya or to refer na to someone meaning specializing na kung may problem, no? Ako, kapag alam kong hindi ko naman siya kaya, number one, hindi naman ako licensed. Ang ginagawa ko lang, I'm acknowledging yung mga present emotions na mayroon dyan. And then, just to parang subside yung nararamdaman niya. And then, kapag okay na-establish ko na yung, i-refer ko siya to someone professional. Pero, yun po, number one, we just need to support them, talk to them, listen to their success stories. Ako, sobrang importante po nun, no? Instead of asking, kumusta ka, may problema ka ba? Why not asking, kumusta ka, anong nangyari maganda sa'yo kahapon or nung isang araw? That's us building, meaning yung mental health ng tao eh. Ngayon, kapag nakita mo nang there's this, meaning hindi na siya manageable, kailangan na ng tulong, we do recommend na i-refer na siya sa professional. Kasi we can only do so much. Otherwise, kapag tayo yung nag-counsel, tapos we are not trained naman to do it, baka kasi mas lalong lumala yung situation. Yun po, no? Yun po.
Thank you, sir. May follow-up question, sir, regarding it. Ito, maganda ring tanong. Do we conduct psychological first aid for our scouts at this time of pandemic?
Siguro we can, I'm not sure sa Agila Pilipinas, no, sa structure natin, no? But siguro we can discuss it separately. Pero I encourage everyone, meaning this group perhaps, na magkaroon tayo ng ganung structure. Saan siya pwedeng i-refer, anong website ang pwede niyang puntahan, saan siya pwedeng may makausap. Kasi even us na nag-aaral kasalukuyan, at some point we are being limited din naman to do things lalo na kapag yung situation hindi na namin kayang hawakan. So it's a separate discussion po, pero it's a good idea na pwede natin buksan for our scouters. Yeah. Ako ang nakikita kong sobrang important ngayon is we just have to listen talaga, no? Ang nakita kong pattern ng mga taong nade-depress tsaka na-anxious is walang nakikinig. Yun na nakita kong pattern. Which reminds me pala, na sumingit lang po na baka mawala. It's also one intentional activity na hindi ko po nalagay kanina is matulog tayo, no? We need to complete at least the 8 or 9 hours sleep during this pandemic season. That's very important. According to research, all or majority ng mga psychological disorders, either they lack sleep or too much sleep. So, kaya yung tulog na yan, bantayan niyo po yung tulog na yan. Yeah. Yan po. Yeah, thank you po. Sige po.
Yun nga po, yung tungkol doon sa psychological first aid, sir, siguro nga for this group, sa Agila Pilipinas, we'll try to see if it is possible to have at least a talk about it also. Thank you, sir. And also for the scouts, kasi nga, kasama rin siguro dito yun dun sa start of the school year, ang focus ng mga schools ata, sir, is more of the mental health ng mga bata. And as scouters, parang at least may idea rin kung paano makatulong or paano i-refer, anong kailangan gawin. We'll try to work on this, sir.
Yeah, singit ko lang, Sir A, no? Just for everyone's information. Innately or meaning in general, we are highly resilient naman eh. Resiliency is parang able to bounce back, no? I have one friend, ang ganda ng analogy niya. Ang tao daw para siyang bola, no? 'Di ba ang bola kapag binagsak mo siya ng sobrang lakas, ang parang 'di ba ang bounce niya mas malakas. Ngayon, kapag ang bola, hinagis mo siya ng malakas sa baba, pero hindi siya umangat, there's a problem, tama ba? So, ang sinasabi na para daw tayong bola. Number one, you need to acknowledge na bakit kaya kahit anong gawin ko hindi ako makatayo. Baka may problema sa akin para akong bola. So, either wala ka palang kausap or kailangan mo lang ng kausap or sobra ka sa kape, wala kang tulog. Paano pag na-identify mo na-identify mo na yung mga problems na yun pero wala pa rin. Hindi ka pa rin makapag-bounce back. Baka kailangan mo na ng tulong ng isang professional. So, similar sa isang bola or sa isang gulong, di ba pag nabutas ang isang gulong, papapatchy natin, di ba? Tama ba? Kaso yung patchy na yon, kailangan niya ng init para ma-cover yung butas. Tama ba? And ang sinasabing analogy kasi nun, yung init na yon, it's painful. Ibig sabihin, kapag nasa situation ka na nahihirapan ka na or clinically diagnosed you are depressed na, hindi ganun kadali yung process. No? It's painful din. Pero what is important is kapag nakikita mo na yung sarili mong nagkakaproblema pero hindi ka maka-bounce back, there might be a problem kasi bola ka nga. Baka may butas. Kailangan mong hanapin yung butas na yon. Pero just so you know, we are all resilient by nature. Kaya natin mag-bounce back. Kapag hindi ka nakapag-bounce back, there's a problem. Yan, yun po yung bigla ka lang siya naisip. Bigla. Sige.
Thank you, Sir Jack. And very good analogy. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So last question po ba sa ating mga participants from our Scouters and also fellow Eagle Scouts? Meron po bang hahabol na katanungan? Okay. Ito po ay comment. Ang laking naitulong sa akin ng scouting. Nakalimutan ko ang problema ko. From Sir James.
Ayun, wow. Oo naman po.
Okay, so ang gawin na po natin ngayon, sir, ay let's continue with the program. Sir, i-stop ko lang yung screen share nyo po at i-share ko na po yung sa finale po natin. Okay. So to our Scouters, Eagle Scouts, Rover Scouts, and Scouts, Sir Jack also provides training and development workshops and seminars. You can also message him if ever that you want to have your own parang workshop in your schools or in your scouting unit. But since he's in the HR also, I think you can invite him to the training and development workshop of your school or of your institution. So, sir, we would like to provide you or give you the certificate of recognition. I'll just read it aloud. Aguila Pilipinas, promoting the legacy and honor of being Eagle Scouts of the Boy Scouts of the Philippines, gives you this certificate of recognition given to Sir Ricardo C. Salunga for being the resource speaker for the webinar To Keep Myself Mentally Awake, Tips from Positive Psychology for Eagle Scouts, Rover Scouts, and Adult Leaders, given this 15th of August 2020. Signed by the Aguila Pilipinas moderators. So sir, ibigay na lang muna namin through PDF. At maraming salamat talaga sa laging pagtulong sa amin, especially sa mga ganitong seminar. Isang tanong lang kay Sir Jack ay umuon na po siya para sa ating mga Scouters and Scouts, Eagle Scouts po.
Thank you po. Thank you. And yeah, I hope you get something po. You were able to get something kahit konti lang. At least yung intentional activity lang. Okay na po ako doon.
Thank you, sir. And now let's move forward to our participants. Okay, for our Zoom participants, your attendance is already recorded. So don't worry about not receiving your certificate. Zoom will provide us the list of our participants, and from that list, we will send you your certificates. However, for the evaluation of this seminar, we would really need your help to also improve our webinar series. So on your chat box, there is a link already for the evaluation form. And kindly answer this if you are in the Zoom. But if you're in YouTube, you
Kumain
will
ka na?
also receive a certificate of attendance. So I'll just read this aloud: certificate of participation or attendance given to the participant for actively participating on the webinar to keep myself mentally awake, tips from positive psychology for Eagle Scouts, Rover Scouts,
Nagsisip.
and Adult Scouts. Given this 15th of August 2020, signed by our speaker. However, you will receive your certificate with the e-signature already. So do not download or print the certificate on our webpage or on our Facebook page. And for our next webinar, we heard the suggestion of our fellow Eagle Scouts and Scouters. So we will be providing the second or the sixth webinar on August 22 or August 29th. This time, it's all about the challenge of being morally straight, reflections and strategies on how to face the dilemma continuously encountered by Scout leaders and Eagle Scouts, and also in handling young Scouts. So this will be given by Scouter James N. Pasamonte, Eagle Scout awardee, Scout citizen, and a Wood Badge holder. If you are interested to attend this webinar also, we will be sending you the link as one of or as part of the advance link or advance invitation. So yun po. And next, we would like to send our gratitude again to our anonymous sponsors and contributors of Agila Pilipinas. Thank you for believing in the advocacy, and we will continue this. And then also, thank you to our fellow Eagle Scout, Rover Scouts, Scouters, and Senior Scout leaders from the following councils. And also from Caloocan City Council, which is our biggest registrants. Thank you very much po. And then also from our foreign scout, Sir, from Baharat Scouts and Guides. Maraming salamat po. And also for the following Eagle Scout group, we are very grateful for your support, and also from the chapters of the two national organizations from the Eagle Scout Organization of the Philippines and National Eagle Scouts Association of the Philippines. Announcement lang po, ang Agila Pilipinas Zoom account ay bukas ngayong Agosto hanggang September. Ibig sabihin po, maaari po kayong gumamit ng account na ito. Inform nyo lang po kami kung kailan nyo po kailangan gamitin ito. For example, you would like to have your court of honor, your board of review, or you would like to share your ideas regarding certain matters, you can always use the account. Just inform us. It is open for scout trainings for August and September. And also for Agila Pilipinas, we will be inviting some of you to talk in behalf of Agila Pilipinas for certain matters. So ayun po ang ating webinar. Before we end the webinar, we would like to invite everyone to sing at your home or to join us in the Old Lang Syne. And also we have provided you an information for our future Eagle Scouts. I hope these Eagle Scouts will realize that skills and effort will help them earn the Eagle Scout rank. However, the traits will make them truly an Eagle Scout, and also with the help of our Scouters. So ito po ang Old Lang Syne. Pasensya na po, wala daw pong sound. Sorry, hindi ko na-on pala. Ayan. I'll be sharing the computer sound. So that will be the end of our CRM or of our webinar. We would like to request everyone to turn on their webcams for our group photo. And then immediately after our group photo, I would like to request the presence of Sir James Paredes for our Scout benediction. So kindly open your webcams. I-request ko lang po sana na mag-smile kayo for at least 10 seconds. Alam ko po medyo weird na nakasmile kayo ng 10 seconds. Pero dahil pipicturean ko po kayong screenshot, kakailanganin ko pong maging weird tayo muna pansamantala sa smile. So in 1, 2, 3, kindly smile for 10 seconds. So paki-open na po ang yung screen. So ayan. Screenshot 1. Okay. Ito po, lilipat ko lang. Okay, screenshot 2. Smile lang po. Screenshot 2. Okay. Ay, saan lang po, may humahabol ng webcam. Screenshot 2. Okay. Sige po. And then, screenshot 3. Okay. Ayan po, maaari na po kayong humintong mag-smile mag-isa. So, ayun po. So, Sir James Paredes, can you lead us for our Scout benediction?
Scout's benediction toast. May the great Scoutmaster of all Scouts be with us
until we meet again. Until we meet again.
Maraming salamat po. At sana po ay ligtas kayo at okay sa inyong mga bahay po.
Congrats, Brother A. Congrats sa Agila Pilipinas. Thank you, Sir Jack.
Thank you po, Sir James.
Thank you po sa lahat.
Thank you, Sir Jack.
Thank you po sa inyo lahat.
Thank you for giving us.
Thank you to all.
Sir Jack.
A good webinar.
Thank you. God bless you all.
Good morning. Good morning.
God bless you all.
Good morning, everyone.
Thank you.
Picture taking.
Thank you very much, everyone. Salamat, Sir James. Salamat, Sir James Paredes. Thank you, sir. We're hoping to also attend the 6th webinar at the Agila Philippines.
Thanks, Brother Jungan, for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, may I leave now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Leave the Zoom room. Thank you very much, sir. Stay safe.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Leave kar do.
Thank you, Brother A.
Maraming salamat din, Sir
Ingat.
James.
Ingat, sir.
Kayo rin po, dyan sa Maynila. Ingat po kayo. Sir Cuevas, maraming salamat po.
Hey, thank you.
Ma'am Manuela, maraming salamat po. Ma'am Enriquez, Ma'am Lingad, Sir Mayuga, maraming salamat po. Hanggang sa sunod na webinar po.
Thank you din po. Hanggang sa
Thank you po.
susunod po, till we meet again on the next webinar. Thank you po.
Ma'am Pineda, hanggang sa susunod po na webinar.
Thank you po.